The fourth prelude of my well-tempered quarantine explores the harmonic world of the octatonic scale. That world you get when instead of having 7 notes in the scale, like in the major scale, you have 8 notes in the scale. The octatonic scale creates this weightless world. Instead of having half steps and whole steps arranged in an asymmetrical pattern, the way a major scale does, you have 2 wholes and a half, then 3 wholes and a half. That divides the major scale into unequal parts. The octatonic scale is divided symmetrically. It's whole step, half step, whole step, half step, whole step, half step, whole step, half step. Or the opposite. Half step, whole step, half step, whole step, half step, whole step, half step, whole step. There's only 2 different ways to make an octatonic scale. Using the 12 chromatic pitches, there's only 2 different ways to make a scale of 8 notes. So being symmetrically divided rather than asymmetrically divided, the octatonic scale has a weightless feeling because there's no particular bottom or top. And that's why Rimsky-Korsakov used it to great effect in his ballets and operas about magic and sorcery. And Stravinsky used it quite a lot in the Firebird ballet. It's not something terribly new, but there are new uses we can find for it. So rather than having like a magical flourish the way Stravinsky tended to do, we can actually create melodies that can be very sad, or chords that can actually be rather interesting, thick and expressive. So in this prelude, I explore just one octatonic scale for the first part. There's only those 8 pitches in that first part. And then in the middle part, I go to the other octatonic scale for a very different feeling, more of a sort of feeling of anxiety. Which is something that actually Bach does quite a lot in his preludes. Take, for instance, the E-flat prelude of the second book of the Well-Tempered Clavier. It begins with the E-flat major scale and very cheerful and graceful. Sounds like someone who's fun to be with. Well, a little later that person becomes a little more morose. Now we're in the C minor scale, which is closely related to the E-flat scale, but it's like finding 2 different sides of the same notes. It even gets into this weird area. It sounds like it's going through some kind of an episode. Now, of course, Bach comes back to the cheerful music at the end. And in the same way, having explored a great contrast of emotions in my prelude, I come back to the original material at the end. But in my piece, that original material is quite changed by the experience we've been through in that other octatonic scale land. So see what you think. Different colors of the octatonic scale in the fourth prelude of my well-tempered quarantine.